Welcome, guys, to week 2 of the Prop Shop Monday Night Football Edition. I am your host, Bobby Stanley, also known as PropHolliday over on Twitter, with the boys from GoldBoys. And if you're tuning in, it's probably because you saw my tweet. We're doing some giveaways today. There are rules. So if you are in the chat and you are watching live, let's go over the rules. We are giving away $250 across the entirety of this show. We are doing 5 separate giveaways of $50 each. Once I pick the winner for who has the best comment, and there's no real criteria. If you make me laugh, if you make me cry, if you make me giggle, if it's a good comment, I'm going to call it out, and my producer Tone's going to reach out to you. But I want you to DM him on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, at GB_Tone Stamp. DM him. Once I say your name, your comment will pop up on the screen. Allow 2 to 3 business days for this to get paid out, but we will get you paid out. But I'm excited, guys. We do little giveaways. We got a bit of an audience here. Just taking a look. I'm not calling out a winner now. I'm looking at the comments, see what we got here. And I know the Prop Shop, my Discord, is in full attendance, and a couple other people over on Twitter. So thank you. But let's get into today's opening monologue. I want to talk about Baker Mayfield. That's why he's about to show up on your screen. So Baker Mayfield, for those who haven't been paying attention, because there's been a lot going on in the league the past couple days, he's 2-0 right now, and he's probably playing the best football of his life. Let's take a look at some details on Baker Mayfield. 73% completion percentage. Yes, it's 2 games. It's ahead of Mahomes. It's ahead of CJ Stroud. He has 5 passing touchdowns so far through 2 games. Tied for first in the league with Derek Carr. We'll see which one of those 2 is real and which one is Fugazi. Second in the league in passer rating. Top 10 in passing yards. And I started looking ahead. Because when you're building someone to be an MVP candidate, there's criteria. What is the criteria? Are you a quarterback? Well, he checks that box. Are you a top 2 to 3 team in your conference? And do you have a good storyline? Well, we know he's a quarterback. I started looking at the schedule, and we'll see what the storyline feeds into. Now, they get Philly at home, Baltimore at home, and I don't think Baltimore's down and out. Don't let them fool you. They're 0-2, and the Raiders' loss was bad, but I'm not ready to cross them off yet. They get the Chiefs on the road, San Fran at home, and the Cowboys on the road. So of their 5, what I call their hardest games, 3 of which are at home. That helps Tampa out. They have 3 upcoming primetime games. You're going to need to do this in primetime if we're going to anoint you the MVP. He also has some pretty winnable games. He's got the Broncos, the Giants, the Panthers twice, the Raiders. Yes, I'm counting the Raiders. And we're TBD on the Saints and the Falcons. We'll know more about the Falcons tonight on Monday Night Football. There's a possibility here that Baker Mayfield can raffle off 11 to 13 wins with this Tampa team. He could throw for 35 touchdowns. He's on pace for that. Maybe he keeps those interceptions under 10. He gets closer to that between 4,500 yards. And we're talking about Baker Mayfield as the MVP of the league. He certainly has the potential for it, and there's some odds for it. I went over, shopped around. What has the best MVP odds right now across sports books? I believe it is. It's over on. I believe it's on Caesars. He's like he's 40 to 1. If you got Caesars, put in this bet twice. Put in $10 twice at 40 to 1. I still like it at 30 to 1. You have one that you keep in case it plays out, and you have one if we get an early cash out option. So put this in twice. But Baker, there's some possibility there. We're also looking at Sam Darnold. They're both in that Carolina boat. They fit that reclamation project theme. Justin Fields, the same scenario. But if you look at his career, he gets cast out in Cleveland. He bottoms out in Carolina. Same thing happened to Darnold. Mid-season reclamation project for the LA Rams. Gets a job interview last season with Tampa. Goes 9-8, 4,000 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I think there's a possibility here that he could be a dark horse for the MVP. Put this in twice, once for the cash out, once for if you want to see it play out. But no, the Tampa Bay Bucks, based on their schedule, based how they're playing, based on what we're seeing, there could be some value there on Baker Mayfield. Let's take a look at the comments real quick. Earlier this morning, you told me my mom thought I was special. Rob Pulver, get this man $50. Rob Pulver Jr., you are our first $50 winner. Your mother is right. You are special, Rob. Thank you very much. Oh, God. No cheerleader beer today for Black Villain. The revival of Baker Mayfield must be studied. I actually agree with that. No, not bad odds, Jay-Z. You're 100% right. But Rob Pulver, you got the first $50. Now you could drop off the call. I don't want you saying anything else funny for the rest of the show. Let's talk about tonight's Monday Night Football game. The Atlanta Falcons had a lot of buzz going into week one for a team that was made up of all these transformations. They get Kirk Cousins. They sign Raheem Morris. Offensive coordinator Zach Robinson comes over from the LA Rams. They add Darnell Mooney in free agency. The early returns in week one, extremely disappointing. And I watched a good chunk of that game against the Steelers. Had a lot of money on Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney bit me in the ass week one. What I saw, Atlanta got wrecked on the offensive line. TJ Watt completely destroyed that game. Yes, Kirk Cousins looked like a shell of himself, but I also want to tip my hat to TJ Watt in that regard. So it looked very ugly. He looked like a statue. Is that because of the opponent? Is that because his Achilles has really put him into this stage of his career? The bottom falls out very quickly on these guys. The Atlanta loss. So Atlanta lost to Justin Fields. Justin Fields is now 2-0. So does that loss feel a little bit better now based on what we know? I mean, they beat Denver yesterday. Not so much. Let's talk about the Philly side of these things. Philly, they bring in Saquon Barkley as a free agent. It pays dividends out of the gate. They're on suicide watch over at MetLife Stadium for what the Giants did letting him go. He notches 3 touchdowns in a victory over the Packers. Monday Night Football, 5.5 is what it's down to. Atlanta, I think it opened up at 6.5. Now we're down to 5.5. The total is at 45.5. So was that week one loss for Atlanta? Was that due to a lack of preseason, a lack of preparation? We're seeing a lot of teams get their ass kicked out of the gate. I mean, I think it's spreads over 6.5 have all covered through the first 2 weeks. This is unheard of. Most of you are out of your survivor pool, myself included. But the total sitting at 45.5 and the spread is 5.5. I do not want to ignore the comments, but we got some good ones in there. Major injuries. A.J. Brown is headlining the major injury category for tonight for the Philadelphia Eagles. There is no A.J. Brown. Expect a lot more Jahan Dotson. We'll talk about him later. And for Atlanta, starting inside linebacker Nate Landman is out. What does that mean for Saquon? It's probably why his touchdown odds are like minus 175 to score. No, I will not be giving that out for the top shelf. Let's get into tonight's first play. Young Hoku is one of the most interesting names I've ever heard. Super pause, that bottom comment falling out. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to do my spiel and make sure I pay attention to the comments because we are, you're here for a reason. And it's for the picks. Dallas Goedert. I gave this out 2 nights ago. I gave it out on the Discord. It was over 3.5 receptions. It was minus 145. Later that day, A.J. Brown gets declared out. The line shoots up to 4.5 at plus money. At 3.5, it was a 1.5 unit play for me. I don't go over 2 just in general. But at 4.5 with plus money, I like it for 1 unit. Why do I like Goedert so much? Goedert hauled in 4 receptions on 5 targets in week 1 against the Packers, but it gets a more favorable matchup tonight against the Atlanta Falcons. According to PFF, Goedert saw 4 of his 5 targets on 17 plays where there were no pressure on Jalen Hurts. This was good for 23% of his targets. This was a 23% target share just behind Devonta Smith in the same category. It is week 1 of data. It's not the end of the world. It's just week 1. But this trend rang true in 2023, where he was second on the team in no pressure targets for the Eagles. The Falcons defensive line in week 1 had the 4th worst pressure rate in the league. I think Hurts finds Goedert with no issue tonight. Although the line was juiced at 3.5, I still like it for 1 unit at plus money. We're going to ride with Goedert over 4.5 receptions at plus money odds. Do I want to ladder Goedert? I would sprinkle. I didn't put this in. I don't want to, it's not an official play. If you want some juice tonight, I would go as high as 7, but bring that unit size down. Depending on how much time I get before kickoff, maybe I'll throw that in. But I don't hate the ladder idea, Rob. You've already won enough money off me. You're not getting another one. Please don't make me bet on someone named Dallas after my Cowboys got clapped. Patch, you know why you're going to get the second one? Because I got clapped on the Dallas Cowboys. I got knocked out of my survivor pool on Dallas yesterday. Patch, you get the second $50. I'm sorry for your Cowboys, but hopefully $50 can ease the sting a little bit. Certainly nobody's giving me my entry back in the survivor pool. So $50 to Patch Zaidi. Make sure you DM GB_Toad Stamp to collect your $50. Before we go into my next play, let's talk to our people over at DraftKings. Are you ready to bet with DraftKings? Here's an offer you can't refuse. God, bet $5 and get 150 in bonus bets instantly. Don't wait. Use the link in the description. Sign up now. Must be 21 plus, 18 plus in Kentucky and Wyoming. You got a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. What's on your shelf when you want to wear what goes on your shelf when you want to wear the Concords? Great question, David. Every one of these shoes is not wearable. They're too old. All of the sneakers, the soles are completely rotted out. My Chicago ones are from 94 and their sole separation. I can't wear them. The Concords, if I put those on, the sole would completely diminish and disintegrate. And the same thing goes for these Fire Red 5s. We got some sole separation there. Great eye, David. I want to give you $50 for being a sneakerhead. David Mazurik, you win the third $50. Please make sure you DM GB_tone stamp to collect your prize. Let's go into my second favorite bet, and it's over on DraftKings, hence the DraftKings ad. Jaylen Carter, defensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. My first defensive prop of the year. We're going Jaylen Carter over a quarter of a sack at plus 110. I'm doing this for half a unit. Now, the reason I'm doing this on DraftKings, you may be able to find better odds on Bet365 and FanDuel for this, but they all say must record a sack. I like that DraftKings stipulates it's over a quarter of a sack. So if he gets a half a sack, we cash here on DraftKings. There's a little bit of ambiguity there with FanDuel and Bet365. Yes, the odds may be a little bit better. I just want him to get minimum a half a sack. I'm getting that plus money. So we're going Jaylen Carter plus 110 for a quarter of a sack. I went back. Gotta love PFF. I read a lot of PFF every week to get ready for my player props. Falcons struggled mightily against Pittsburgh pass rush. That's what my eyes told me when I watched the game. Makes me feel good that PFF backs me up. They allowed 12 total pressures, including 3 sacks, on 27 dropbacks, which led to a 72.2 PFF pass blocking efficiency score, the lowest mark in week 1. Left guard Matthew Bergeron, center Drew Dahlman, and right tackle Caleb McGarry, who are responsible for all 3 sacks, earned sub 40 PFF pass blocking grades in week 1. And Chris Lindstrom, supposed to be the best offensive lineman on that Falcons team, didn't allow a sack in week 1, but he gave up 2 QB hits and a quarterback hurry. Just for comparison, last year he surrendered 3 quarterback hits and 11 quarterback hurries all of 2023. I like Jaylen Carter. He was the freak rookie last year out of Georgia who fell in the draft. He was up there for defensive rookie of the year. I think he finished 3rd or 4th in voting. I like him to get at least half a sack tonight. Part of that is how bad that Falcons line is playing. Part of it is how immobile Kirk Cousins is. So half a unit play to get half a sack at plus money odds for Jaylen Carter. All right. Let's take, before I go into my touchdown liquor cabinet, let's take a look at some comments. My soul has rotted out after losing all of my tickets yesterday. Well, now this is just becoming sad. I'm not going to be giving away pity money. I want positive thoughts here, guys. Let's go to the first top shelf bet. First top shelf TD score. I've been hammering this in your head for the first, 5 or 6 episodes. I don't give out negative odds TD scores, but I do have one tonight. It's Bijan Robinson at minus 105 on Bet365. It's about as close to even money as we're going to get. I'm going full unit on Bijan scoring tonight. Nakobe Dean, not a great coverage linebacker. Devin White, who came over from the Tampa Bay Bucks, got benched in favor of Nakobe Dean. I think Bijan Robinson could take advantage of him in the passing game. We saw Breece Hall go up for one with Aaron Rodgers. Pretty much, they had an agreement right before the play. Him and Rodgers were in the huddle. He goes, "If I get a linebacker spread on me wide, just throw it up. I'm going for it." I expect something similar tonight with Bijan Robinson, and obviously he can get it done on the ground with some breakaway speed. I liked what I saw from Josh Jacobs against this Philadelphia Eagles team in week 1, even though he didn't score. Bijan left out of the end zone in week 1. Not going to happen in week 2. Minus 105 is as close to even money as we're going to get. It's over on Bet365, and we're going with Bijan to get from my top shelf liquor cabinet score. Okay. Mid-shelf. With A.J. Brown being out, I want to talk about Jahan Dotson, Newark native, coming over from the Washington Commanders, trade right before the season. 4 touchdowns last season for Dotson in his sophomore year. I think he slides easily into that wide receiver 2 role tonight with A.J. Brown out. Who was it that mentioned Calcaterra? Put your name up in the comments. Who mentioned Calcaterra? He's someone I may have overlooked, and I kind of like the Calcaterra look for one big reason. Jahan Dotson gets traded right before the season starts. So he's still learning the playbook, presumably. You got a guy like Calcaterra. He's been in this offense for a while. He's played with Sirianni. He could be a guy that they plug in certain red zone situations that Jalen Hurts can trust. Calcaterra might be worth a sprinkle. But at plus 330, I like Jahan Dotson as my mid-tier. This is when you're going to bring that unit size down, go quarter of a unit, go half a unit, depending on how you feel. But at plus 330, I like Dotson. He's going to be on the field between 50 and 70% of the snaps opposite Devonta Smith. He is my mid-shelf touchdown scorer for tonight. Got any tequila on the top shelf? Dollar Shorty, you are number 4. I'm a tequila man. I do not have any tequila here, but I am an Espolon guy. So Dollar Shorty pointing out tequila on the top shelf. Let me get him for my number 4 $50 giveaway. Make sure you DM GB_tone stamp on X, and you will catch a $50 payday in 2 to 3 days. Shout out to the tequila fans out there. Good catch. Well Vodka. Well Vodka is Well Vodka prices, and that's what brings me to Kenneth Gainwell at plus 700. Big reason that I jumped on him at plus 700 over on FanDuel. FanDuel seems to have a majority of the good odds for touchdown scores. It was plus 450 on Bet365. It was plus 550 on DraftKings. We're getting 7-1 over on FanDuel for Kenneth Gainwell. He's just a guy they want to keep involved in some capacity in the game. He didn't have a huge workload in week 1. It was a very competitive game. If spread's 5.5 tonight, if this one gets out of hand, we could see a little bit more Kenneth Gainwell. The fact that the middle linebacker out for the Falcons plays it, teeny tiny bit into this, but not a ton. But Gainwell at 7-1, I think is some decent value there for a guy that should see 2 to 3 carries, maybe 2 to 3 targets, and they like to get him involved. You saw Khalil Herbert last night steal a touchdown from DeAndre Swift. Similar mindset, 7-1 compared to plus 450 on Bet365. So that's my Well Vodka play tonight. And just to recap, we got Bijan Robinson minus 105 on Bet365. That's a 1-unit play. We go down to our mid-shelf, Jahan Dotson plus 330. Go quarter unit, half unit, depending on how frisky you're feeling. Maybe throw it into a no-sweat bet. And then Well Vodka is Well Vodka prices, and that is plus 700 Kenneth Gainwell. That's a bonus bet if you have it, but it should keep it interesting in what could be a blowout. We have one $50 giveaway left, and I'm trying to think of a good way to do it. Tell me who you think is going to be the first touchdown scorer, and if it's the same one that's in my head right now, you're going to win. Who do you think is going to be the first touchdown scorer tonight? The first person to guess who I have, and I'm going to write it down so you know I'm not lying. Where we got. Who is going to be the first touchdown scorer tonight? Drop it in the comments. If you have who I have written down, you will win the last $50 giveaway. Drake London, Ray. Someone's got to guess who I got. Bijan, Jahan. Terrion White. We have Goedert. You are the winner. I don't know if you could see that. I have Goedert here. Sorry. Goedert is the winner. Terrion White, you win the last $50 of the Prop Shop Week 1 giveaway. Make sure you DM GB_tone stamp to collect your $50. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I got 2 plays I feel great about. Some touchdown scores I feel really good about. We just gave away $250. And all we want is a competitive game tonight. We didn't get that last night. The previous one on Thursday night wasn't a competitive game. Let's hope this one goes down to the end. We cash some SGPs. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you Thursday night for week 3. Adios.